My name is J. Scott Evans, and I'm Senior Legal Director at Yahoo. I work in the global brand and trademarks. And in that capacity, I do ICANN policy work here through the Intellectual Property Constituency, which is one of the many constituencies that works within the ICANN process to develop policy for the maintenance of the domain name system. Many years ago, we found that the schedule was so very difficult. There were so many meetings that 3 of the constituencies decided that they would begin to have a cumulative meeting. And that's called the cross-constituency meeting. And that consists of the intellectual property constituency, the business users constituency, and the internet service providers and connectivity providers constituency. Because we all have similar, not identical, but similar interests. And so we use that forum to bring in speakers so that they don't have to come to each of us separately. And so this morning we had a breakfast with the board of directors and the ICANN staff in which we discussed several topics. And we're now currently having a meeting with all those groups together. And in our meeting today, what we're discussing is what is primary concern to trademark owners and business users and internet service providers, and that's fraud and abuse. So we had a presentation from what's known as the Anti-Phishing Working Group, the APWG. And what they're doing is they're working with ICANN to develop security and strategy protocols that can be put into place in existing TLDs, in CCTLDs, and in new GTLDs that will protect the systems from these type of abuses. There's a real concern that new players in this market are not going to be sophisticated, and so therefore their networks will be probably more subject to gaming and abuses because they're just not as sophisticated as players that have been in the market for the last 10 years. And so to try to give them some help and guidelines so that they don't face that and the ultimate registrants don't face abuses. We also having a presentation on the implementation recommendation team. That was a group that was put together after the Mexico meeting, after the board issued a resolution saying we've identified that trademark protections in new GTLDs is one of the biggest issues probably facing the rollout of new GTLDs, and we need to put together a group of experts to come up and offer us some solutions. So they did, and a 15-member expert team got together and has put out a report in May 29th, which is now being discussed in the community. And it's got several proposals for trademark protection in new GTLDs. We are also going to be discussing the GNSO improvements. Every 3 years, the ICANN organization does a self-evaluation. Typically, they bring in an outside auditor or an outside consultant to look at how it operates and how it works. Well, recently they've come out with a report and they formed a special group of the board, and this small group of the board came out and said, here are the things based on the consultation that we believe need to be changed. And one of those was how the GNSO, which is the Generic Names Supporting Organization, how that functions and how it works. They wanted to move from what they claimed was a legislative body, a body that voted on issues, to a body that actually managed members of the community and working groups, similar to what's done in the ITF and other groups. It's the Internet Foundation. It's an engineering foundation, Internet Engineering Foundation. It's a large group, and they do internet. They have working group models where anybody can be a member of the particular team to work on issues that they may have interest in or believe affects their business, and then they come together and try to reach some sort of consensus or agreement and then offer that back to the community as a solution, and then the board adopts it if it gets enough buy-in from the community. So it's a different form of self-regulation and self-policy making in a private-public partnership model, which is what ICANN has historically been. I do believe that they're taking it more seriously than they have, and they have actually constituted a group that is coming together with solutions. So since Mexico, I would say we have moved forward. The biggest concern is we're reaching a crunch. We have 2 polar issues. We have problems that in existing TLDs, and we have a great push from a market that wants new GTLDs. But it would be almost irresponsible to put new GTLDs out on the market unless we solve some of the overarching issues that are problematic, because we only have 21 GTLDs to deal with right now and 240 CCTLDs, but if that's 2,450, that could be a huge problem and crisis on people who aren't here, people who aren't participating in this. Your mother, your brother, your sister, your grandmother. And you know, when ICANN started 10 years ago, the internet was for most people, was a fascination or a hobby. But now, in most businesses, if your internet is down, everybody just might as well go home. I think registries and registrars are waking up to the fact that they are going to have to do something about this problem. I mean, one of the biggest concerns I certainly think that brand owners and businesses have had is there sort of has been an attitude with registrars and registries that we don't have to police this. We have no responsibility for this. But then you find out as the situation has matured, there's been more money brought into the system, people expect more from these mature industries, that they're going to have to get on board. They're going to have to be a part of the solution, because if they're not, governments are going to step in and they're going to impose solutions that you don't have any sort of buy-in or ability to shape the solution. And that's a model I don't think that anyone likes operating under. Well, that's one of the reasons we need these private solutions. And unless we can get them in place, then the ICANN board is going to be forced not to allow registries to be in jurisdictions that don't have those particular safeguards in place. So that's again how private regulation and self-regulation will bring in markets that probably couldn't be there because their local laws don't have any protections. So there are positives to this, many more positives than I think people give it credit for when you sort of read the blogs or hear the rumors. There's more positive about bringing more people into the system than it is of trying to shut someone out or put more burdens on anyone. Well, I mean, the one thing I have to say to everyone is, you know, you hear a lot about trademark owners being overly aggressive and trying to take everyone's words away from them because they're trademarks. But the reality is, we're not protecting trademark owners, we're protecting consumers. And every day, consumers lose thousands and thousands of dollars. And the reason they made that error or that mistake was because they got an email from Yahoo. And they trusted that Yahoo would never send them something that would cheat them or harm them in some way. And then they call us, and we have no way to help them. So we're protecting your grandmother, your cousin, your sister. That's who we're there to protect, not just our brand. We have an obligation to our users to make sure that when they see our name, they can count and trust on the information that they receive and that they won't be cheated or harmed in any way.